It's a beautiful Monday morning in the city of Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki, and this is Today in the News. Here on Today in the News, we read and give in-depth analyses on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. And this morning, I'm starting with Vanguard on the paper review. Vanguard is leading with job losses, factory closures loom as unsold goods pile up. That's according to MAN. Naira plunges 254% in 8 months. Existence of MSMEs are further threatened. That's according to husband. CBN should adopt a managed fluctuation of Naira. That's according to CPPE. You can see that on page 19. And here there's a picture showing His Royal Highness Oniru of Iruland, Lagos, Oba ASUU, Lawal, Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Mr. Tayo Amusan, and we have Senator John Ono, Minister of Sports Development, and Mr. Aminu Umar Sadiq, MD, CEO, Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, at the groundbreaking of Africa's first purpose-built 12,000-seater capacity arena in Victoria Island, Lagos weekend. In Nigeria, reaping the benefit of reform. That's according to the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation. You can see the details here below. On page 4, Qatar makes U-turn to host investment forum during the Tinubu's visit. Stories above the banner on page 14. Monday interview. Right time is running out for Tinubu to do the right thing. That's according to Ben Obi. Expresses fears about looming danger. On page 10, Edo Guba. 15 men, 1 woman angling to succeed Obaseki. Peter Obi. Forex prices clamp down on BDCs will worsen situation. Anti-hardship rally. Falana writes AGF seeks protection for NLC protesters. You can see that on page 5. Now the Guardian is leading with FX crisis. Naira falling out of top 4 African economies on weak currencies. You can see that on page 6. And on page 4, emerging prospects, challenges of state police amid legislative traction. ASUU warns of imminent strike over alleged insensitivity by federal government. 65 CSOs withdraw as NLC dares federal government mobilizes for nationwide protest. Stop blame game, adopt Argentina's reform, Atiku tells Tinubu. Conditional cash transfer to resume amid probe. Nigeria hopeful of positive outcomes at WTO, says Minister. You can see that on page 5. And the nation is leading with Jimoh Ibrahim. Trains unit leaders ahead Ondo APC governorship primary. Says is ready for any form of primary. Stories above the banner. Pressure mount on NLC over planned protest. No going back, says Ajaero. Dangote, Soludo, Abiodun, Elumelu, Ruwani, others in Tinubu's economic team. You can see that on page 4. And lastly, the Punch. The leading story says NLC protests. Presidency, police issue fresh warnings as 65 groups pull out. Don't disrupt commercial activities, vehicular movement. Lagos CP tells protesters. Protest illegal, says presidency. CSOs, NLC alleges government's plot to disrupt demonstration. You can see that on page 3. BBC operators plan mergers, fault mandatory deposits. Port terminal operator dock worker arrested over 1,044.29 kg cocaine. You can see that on page 5. Food smuggling, customs to man 1,500 illegal routes with drones. Stories above the banner. Governors Elumelu, Dangote make Tinubu's economic advisory panel. Lastly, on the Punch newspaper, Forex crisis threatens modular refineries, 25 billion naira daily crude input. You can see that on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Today News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Joining us to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Ali Mohammed. He's the CEO of Bandwidth Communications, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, Mr. Ali.
Good morning, Damlola. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you, sir. And let's talk about the stories that we're starting with, the job losses and some other things. Well, against the backdrop of the sustained pressure in the foreign exchange market and the high cost of production, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, MAN, They have indicated that inventory of unsold goods is escalating to levels that is now threatening the existence of companies operating in the production sector of the economy with attendant job losses. What do you think about this report from MAN?
Well, it should be expected because as at today, the financial situation of Nigerians does not permit them to patronize these companies. It is when some of them produce things that the people do not need. As at today, an average Nigeria needs food. It is the number one on the list of priorities. So once the issue of food is settled, every other thing can come. So the companies that are not into food production will have these kind of problems that the Manufacturers Association is trying to bring to the fore in public. Then secondly, most of these companies rely on imported raw materials. And you know the exchange rate of naira to dollar today is not friendly. And so such companies, if they can't source for their raw materials within Nigeria, may have to reduce their level of production, maybe from 100% to 50%, or from 100% to 30%. If not, they probably have to shut down. That is what the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria is calling our attention to. If you go and check, most of these companies and factories that are shutting down rely more on imported raw materials. And to get imported raw materials today at the exchange rate that we have, such a company must be very strong. We have companies that also import complete products into the country. They are badly hit by this high foreign exchange regime. It is unfortunate, but then I think it is time we should tilt towards getting raw materials for whatever we produce within Nigeria. But unfortunately, even products that are produced with raw materials from Nigeria, the prices are also high today. I keep asking why. Because you are not spending dollar on raw materials. But people have just decided to join the league of those who are raising the price of whatever products they are selling to the people, because everybody is saying that is complaining that there is a rise in dollar exchange rates. Gary, you don't have to import the raw materials for the production of Gary, but go and ask how much they sell a tin of Gary today. A bucket that they call Garawa Gari in Yoruba land goes for over 25,000 naira, from 15,000 to 25,000. I asked somebody, do you import cassava to produce Gari? The person said no, but in the process of transporting them to the markets, they spend a lot of money on transport. We have to be very careful at this stage of our crisis, economic crisis in Nigeria. Yes, it is understandable if imported products are expensive. But what about locally made products, sorry. So we have to be careful not to create an economic crisis, which we already have on our hands today. We have to be sure that we don't allow it to get bad to a stage where people will do things that they ought not to do. Like the proverb goes, an hungry man is an angry man. So we should all come together and see how we can save this country from a major food crisis that is already threatening us in the face.
All right, still talking about the hardship in the country, NLC declared a 2-day nationwide mass protest that will be held on February 27 and 28, and that's over the hardship in the country. And Femi Falana, the lawyer to the Nigerian Labour Congress, now he has asked that the Attorney General to direct security operatives to ensure the safety of these people that will be participating in the nationwide protest. But what do you think about the protest? Is it going to help in any way?
Well, the major aim of any protest is to draw the attention of government, as if they don't even know that that problem exists. You have to draw the attention of government to find a solution to the cause of the demonstration. I have read it that the NLC want to stage a 2-day protest. It is the right of the NLC to protest, and it is the right of the government to protect the protesters and ensure that such a protest does not become a riotous situation that could threaten lives and property. And so it is not a bad thing for people to say they are protesting the situation of things in the country. We are all affected, no matter how rich you are. You only have more money to cushion the effects than the other Nigerians. There is nobody in Nigeria today that will tell me or anybody that is not feeling the pangs of what is going on there. They're here in the country. You may have more money to cushion the effects, but there are people there that their salaries, monthly salaries, according to the laws, are 30,000 naira. It's their salary, 30,000 naira. How do you want them to cope with this very harsh economic situation? And that is the reason why the NLC is planning to stage a protest to call the government's attention to the urgent need to increase the income, or rather, let me put it this way, to increase the minimum wage as agreed during a labor meeting or several labor meetings with the federal government in the past. So, based on the fact that they had a negotiation, or better said, an agreement with the government, they want to draw the attention of the government to urgently raise the basic salary of government workers.
But not all the states, there was a time they increased the minimum wage to 30,000, but not all the states have been able to afford that.
Yes, some states couldn't afford it. Till today, those states still pay 25,000. But if you sit down as a Nigerian, you can spend 25,000 within 5-10 minutes, or you buy very, very little things. And that is what a family man, his wife and children will spend in a month. It is not enough. So government should sit down with labor and negotiate a living wage, which will be implemented immediately.
Well, the presidency on Sunday warned the NLC not to embark on the 2-day nationwide protest against the rising cost of living in the country, and the police also warned against the disruption of the commercial activities during the protest. And we have like 65 civil groups that have pulled out of the planned demonstration. They're warning against its possible hijack.
If you look at what happened during the NSAS demonstration, it is quite possible that if we have any demonstration in Nigeria today, it could be hijacked by the hungry people within us. A lot of people are upset, a lot of people are hungry, a lot of people are hungry. They could hijack any peaceful protests. That is what the government is warning against. But in terms of the law, the people have the right to protest. It is guaranteed under the UN laws. So nobody can scare the people away from protesting against anything that they feel is anti-people in their society.
But the police also warning, is it not their job to also protect these people that are protesting?
I don't want to use very harsh words against the police. They know that it is their duty to protect demonstrators. But here, whatever the IG says, it's a command structure. Whatever the IG says, the other officers must comply. If the IG says no protest, the commissioners of police must comply with such rules. But it is against the laws of our land. People are permitted to register their protests in a peaceful manner. But the fear of such a protest being hijacked by some people is the reason why government is warning against protests, because we have an history of an NSAS protest that became very violent and took the lives of so many people. So it is one of the reasons why government is warning against protests. But as of talking about whether it is legal to protest, it is absolutely legal for people to protest in any society.
But do you think, let's talk about the policies of this current administration. Now, according to Social Democratic Party presidential candidate, he said, President Tinubu has the right team, but his economic policies are what's not suitable for Nigerians. So is it the policies of the president that we should blame, or the actions after it?
You have asked a very, very heavy question, and I will attempt to answer it as to the best of my ability. The first mistake that this government made was to remove subsidy, eradicate subsidy in one fell swoop. It affected the economy drastically, and you see, I'm not an economist, but somebody that is part of the Nigerian system would have known that the subsidy is not supposed to have been removed at once. You can remove it in phases. The fact that it was removed just like that on the first day of this administration, without even the president coming out with its government's economic policies, made matters worse. Because don't forget that the removal of subsidy was announced the very day it was sworn in. Subsidy scrapped. It's not a good decision. It should have been done in phases. And that is why people are feeling the impact so much, because as at then, petrol, now the price of petrol now went up by about 400%. You now use the money that you used to fill your tank to buy 10 liters of petrol. You use the money that you used to fill your tank. Anytime you want to go outside Lagos, you now use your money, that same amount, to buy petrol for local runs. It had an adverse effect on the lifestyle of the people and on the economy of this country. Secondly, as at today in Nigeria, the currency of this country is naira, but most big boys in this country, they spend more of dollar than the naira. And in a situation where you are not producing anything with which you are earning dollars, and you continue to use dollar as a yardstick for your expenses, we will have the situation that we have today in this country, where the cost, the rate of dollar against the naira keep rising. As at today, if you have $100, you are going to have over 150,000 naira. It's ridiculous. It is not good for our economy. It is not good for the well-being of this country. If you look at the way government officers engage in round tripping of funds that are meant for projects and things that will benefit the people, you will marvel. Government funds are being used to buy dollars. Keep those dollars for the exchange rate to go up. By the time the exchange rate goes up, that person has made 100% of the government money that he has spent to buy dollar. So conveniently, he will drop that money and he is richer by 100% of the money with which he traded. So if you look at that, it is anti-people, it is anti-government, and it is not going to help the economy. Because you have a few people who have access to money, not their personal money, government money, using it to engage in financial round tripping. It is not going to be in the interest of the economy. Those people will continue to make money. If you sit back and look at the way bank chief executives live these days, you start wondering how many factories they run for them to be billionaires overnight. So the banking sector of the economy itself should be probed. What is going on in the banking sector is more than a fraud. They run down the economy of this country because a few of them must make money. Central bank will allocate dollar to be that dollar is supposed to be accessed by the people, but the bank CEOs will sit on it. Dollars will never be made available at their banks, and they will now start to use whatever is allocated to their bank to trade and project that once dollar is 110 today, in the next week it will rise to 150, and you can imagine the profit that will come in for somebody that is investing a heavy sum of money in buying such huge amount of dollars. You are making profit times more than 200% or 300%. So the banking sector itself needs a thorough probe for us to get to the root of the dirty works that is going on within that sector.
All right, let's move away from that and talk about the ASUU. Well, ASUU, the fragile piece in the nation's university, it might be disrupted if ASUU makes good on the threat to, to down to any moment from now. The Professor Adelaja Dukoya, the coordinator of ASUU, accused the federal government of insensitivity to their plight over the years. And Dukoya, who is also the dean of the Faculty of Social Science at UNILAG, lamented that the successive government, they paid lip service to education, and they also accused President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration of failing to live up to their expectation. Now we're talking about the hardship, people spending and everything, and now the education ASUU also is threatening on going forward.
But I read the reports that government is paying the backlog of what they've been owing ASUU in terms of arrears of their salary and all that. I don't know why ASUU want to go on strike at this time if government is truly responding to their demands, because I have not heard of any genuine reason why ASUU want to go on strike when government, at the time government is paying the arrears of salaries that was being owed ASUU. For whatever reason, I think ASUU should negotiate, because we are talking about the future of our children here. Yes, they are entitled to good salaries. Yes, they are entitled to good welfare. But I think they should negotiate. You know what happens when ASUU goes on strike? The only university that will be functional at a time that ASUU will go on strike will be the private universities. And it could take children who are supposed to go through that a striking university more years to graduate from such university than their colleagues that are in the private university. So let us appeal to ASUU to negotiate instead of going on strike. Yes, their welfare is very important to us. We feel the pains that they are going through, if there is any at all. But then I am not in support of any strike at this critical time. It will worsen the situation of things. Children that are supposed to be in school will be at home doing nothing. And in the process, when we have nothing to engage them, they go into criminal activities. It is not going to be in the interest of the nation for ASUU to go on strike now.
Let's still talk about the students and how they are living. I read a report of where about 2 or 3 students complained about how they are living. Sure, they are now selling their personal items in order to get food to eat in the university, and they've also complained about them not having access to the loans in the school. How can the government better help the students in the federal schools? Because even when I paid a visit to Unilag, I found out that the food they are selling in their school is more expensive than what you get outside.
What you get outside. You see, I'm happy that government is talking about student loan. Now, I don't know how soon that will be implemented. If it is implemented as soon as possible, then we have a solution at sight. With the student loan, we have a solution at sight. You see, when you have parents that are badly hit by the economic situation in this country, the children will be affected. And that is why we say that parents must be well treated by ensuring that they have living wages, they have access to good businesses and all that. So that the children, when they are in the university, they will be properly taken care of. Whatever is happening in the university today in terms of lack of care for students is a reflection of what is happening to their parents. I, as a father, will want to take care of my children in the university to the best of my ability. But when you don't have the resources, what do? This is where this students' loan from the federal government will be required as urgently as possible.
But many students are already dropping out of school because of this.
They will go back. But it is not the best thing for anybody to go to school and drop out. They become worse than illiterates. If you are a dropout, you are neither educated nor an illiterate. And that situation is worse, because an illiterate will accept the fact that, look, I am an illiterate, I didn't go to school. But the man who went to school and did not finish, he did not finish whatever course he went to school to study, is worse than an illiterate, because he will see himself as an educated person, whereas he is not. An educated man will accept the fact that, look, I am an illiterate. So he will limit himself to whatever he is able to do as an illiterate. But an half educated person is worse than an illiterate. So we really need to be very careful with how we allow students to drop out of school. A lot of them will go into crime. They will engage in criminal activities, and they will become a problem to the society.
All right, let's end this on a lighter note this morning with Mr. and Mrs. And the first person speaking today is Mrs. Mrs. says, "You want to see me in the bedroom? Look, I'm not in the mood." And Mr. says, "So you are going to deny me my rights? Fine. There's a document for me to sign at the bank. The past for the next of kin is vacant, and my next of kin is the person next to my skin."
And
Mrs. is denying it. Right.
She will have to go close to Mr. because that person that is next to his king will be the next of kin. She wouldn't want to miss that.
At all, nobody wants to miss that. Thank you, Mr. Ali, for joining us this morning.
You're most welcome.
Yes, and do want to like and follow us on all our social media platforms, showing on our screen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can also visit our website www.vanguardedja.com to get more of our top stories. My name is Daniela Okunshaki. Have a lovely Monday.